give that question is Kevin Leininger from the News Sentinel, and Kevin, you'll direct that question to Terrence Walker.
Thank you. Continuing on the theme of appointed boards, all of you or most of you have talked about what you would do with the I&M money, but I haven't really heard anyone address the fact that in 17 years, the Capital Improvement Board, which is now spending the food and beverage revenue that formerly went to the Coliseum, will have an estimated $89 million. Now, as mayor, you have 3 appointees to that board. What is your vision for that board, and what would your direction to your appointees be?
Well, I think we have too many committees for about everything. The steer-owned council itself cannot do very much on its own. It's always got to get somebody to help them along the way. It doesn't seem like they know what they're doing. It just seems like it's a Sunday picnic. So I don't understand. Well, you go back to the first part of your question, please.
How do you think they should spend the $89 million?
$89 million. Well, they probably blow it, no doubt. But we should always save the money. My idea, of course, is, well, my course anyway, is to start having ownership of companies. I believe that we should be nothing but a private, profit-for-profit company. If we must merge with our company, it should be 50-50 and percentages of ownership, so one will get stronger than the other. Thank you.
All right, with 1 minute responses now, we go first of all to Liz Brown. Liz?
Well, it is interesting how that's all come about, because if you remember when the Coliseum got the food and beverage tax to begin with, that was as soon as they paid off their debt, then the county was going to stop collecting that tax, and that hasn't happened. So now we're shifting it to another entity. So the next mayor, and I don't plan on being around for 17 years, so the next mayor can make some appointments, but that fund won't really be grown to fruition, at least not during what I plan to be my term. But what I think what we need to do is have some structure in place. It needs to be pure economic development projects that actually are going to grow business here, projects that are going to include infrastructure and make it easier to move goods or people. And infrastructure includes intelligent infrastructure. We don't have a good technical broadband kind of base here for that new entrepreneur that we're looking for in the city. I don't consider infrastructure or economic development projects to be beautification projects, and I don't think it's just bringing in a restaurant or a pub, which just takes the business away from what we already have.
Thank you. With a 1 minute comment, Eric Doden.
Well, I do think that you number one, you're going to appoint people that are going to bring. You're going to empower them. I mean, what good CEOs and mayors do is empower people to be innovative and creative, and make sure you have the right people who understand how to think through and use those dollars wisely. But in general, I'm not in favor of any city being an equity player. We do not do that well, and that's not what government's for. But to the extent that we can leverage private dollars and private investment into our community for things like infrastructure and other things like that, that's a positive use of those dollars. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we want to do, because again, we're going to solve this problem of our decline in jobs and wages, and there are some creative ways to do that.
1 minute comment, Paula Hughes. Paul?
Well, the Capital Improvements Board is something, bringing that together is what I campaigned on 9 years ago, so I'm delighted that we finally have it in place. There are 3 revenue streams actually that fund the Capital Improvements Board: the food and beverage tax, the professional sports and development revenue, as well as the innkeeper's tax. All 3 of those flow through that Capital Improvements Board, and their priority is moving the needle on the average wage rate. I hope most of you have seen that chart. I've referenced it before. Our average wage rate is declining as compared to the rest of the country. An ideal project for that would be things like a communications lab for the defense industry. We have a huge cluster of companies in town who pay above the average wage, and we need to make sure that they stay here and make sure that they know we value them being here. It's something that goes directly to the heart of economic development. It's partnering public and private sector. I think that kind of project is ideal, but again, not physical projects. I agree. We spent enough money on downtown for the time being.
Thank you very much. And with a 1 minute comment, Fred Osheskie. Fred?
Yes, there's 3 ways that I would possibly use that money, and one of them is for economic development. Number 2 is for our police force, and number 3 is for infrastructure projects.
All right, thank you. Now that brings us to the end of round two.